set of makeshift ramps out of rocks, bricks, and wooden planks. I can't even call them 2x4s because they're not. So April 2017, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina for a race, and I get a Facebook message from a gentleman in Las Vegas who is interested in buying a Gen 5 Viper. He is a racing instructor at a performance driving school in Las Vegas. He's very familiar with exotic cars, and he's very particular in wanting something that is not only unique, but something that will appreciate and value. So we settled on a Striker Green 2014 GTS. There were 44 examples of the car made, and they had become increasingly harder to find. I start looking for the car, and he calls me and says, "Hey, I actually found the car, and I brokered the deal. All I need you to help me with is financing it, and I really want to bring it into your dealership and have you guys check it out. I value your opinion and I trust you." And I said, "That's not a problem. I get to make a little bit of money, and I get to help this gentleman out." I said, "Where's the car?" He said, "It's in Ontario, Canada." I said, "Okay. Can you connect me with the gentleman who owns it?" He said, "That's not a problem. Like I said, everything's already done, down to price." I said, "Wow, that makes my life really easy. This is probably going to be the simplest deal I've ever done." So I get in a three-way phone call with the gentleman buying the car in Las Vegas, myself, and the gentleman selling the car in Ontario, Canada. He says that he owns a company that produces large farm equipment, and he exports it to the United States all the time. So he would help handle all of the import-export, and I go ahead and I send the paperwork out to the gentleman in Las Vegas. He overnights it back, signed. He is the proud new owner of a Striker Green 2014 Viper GTS. So this is kind of where things start to unravel. I say, "Hey, go ahead and send me your wire transfer information. I will have my accountant wire you the funds in full tomorrow." And he was happy to do so. Finally, I get a phone call, and it's his number, and I'm like, "Okay, awesome, great. The process is rolling." He got the money. He waited a couple extra days for it to clear, especially since it's international wire. Maybe there was a hold somewhere. Okay, great, we're ready to rock. And he is on the phone, and he is livid. And this is a demeanor I've never seen from this gentleman before, because to this point, he's been casual, cool, calm, collected, and just awesome to work with. And he says, "Hey, it's been 2 or 3 days, and I haven't seen my money." I said, "That's interesting. My accountant confirmed that we sent it a few days ago, but let me check with her." So I go to my accountant. She said, "Okay, well, I'll look into it, but the money does show to be back in our account. Maybe there was a hang up, and I'll go ahead and resend it today." So I called him back and I said, "Hey, the money did come back to our account. You are correct. This is on a Friday afternoon, so I don't expect an international wire or a wire in general to clear until Monday or Tuesday. So I avoid it for the weekend, and I await his phone call." So middle of the week, the following week, I get another phone call from him, and he said, "Hey man, time number 2, dealing with you, and I don't have my money." I go back to my accountant and I said, "Hey, we sent this money together last week. I saw it go out, you saw it go out. We reconfirmed his wire instructions and his account numbers with him on the phone before doing this to make sure that everything went through." And she said, "Yeah." She said, "But look at this. The wire wasn't declined for some strange reason. It was actually accepted and then sent back." I called him back and I said, "Hey, listen, I understand you're frustrated, but looking at everything that we can see on our end, we actually saw that the money left our account, hit your account, cleared your account, and then was sent back to us." And he said, no, that's not right. My accountant is my secretary for this company, and she does this all the time, and there's no reason that this should have happened, and I'm getting extremely frustrated. If we can't get this right, then I'm pulling the deal. I said, "Hey, let's just make this really simple. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a check for the full amount in an envelope, and I'm going to get this out to you, overnight, paid, expedited, whatever." And he said, "Okay, cool, that works." The money has cleared his account, and he calls me and says, "Okay, when and where are you meeting this car?" And I said, "Okay, well, going through the export process, what port is closest to you? What have you done paperwork-wise that you can send me so that I can get everything prepared so that when this car comes across, we don't have any hiccups? I know that your time is valuable, and I know that my shipper's time is valuable, and I want to make sure that this goes as smoothly as possible." And he said, "You know what? Honestly, Exporting this car isn't my deal. It's not my issue. It's not something that I should be responsible for. And I said, well, based on the structure of this deal and everything that you conveyed to us and to the gentleman purchasing the car out of Las Vegas, you are going to handle this because it's something your company handles on a regular basis. Exporting from another country typically takes 30 days to get the paperwork together. You have to find a great registered importer to put it all together. These cars also suffered from 2 major recalls, and you have to have all the recalls cleared before the car can leave the country. You know, what can we do to expedite this? Because this is going to take 30 days. And he says, okay, well, I think that I have a way of, I can get the car to the border. You need to send a transport. We're going to use this port of entry on this day at this time. And I say, okay, great, cool, awesome. I don't want to know. Just get it done. Recall wise, I can handle it at my store. And, we just accelerate things from where they are. So he shows up to the border, stays in a hotel, drove the car unbeknownst to us and added miles, which was also something that we had agreed would not happen. And my transporter makes the drive from Atlanta, Georgia, all the way up to Buffalo, New York. The gentleman says, okay, well, your transporter has to come across the border and grab this car. And I said, okay, do you have the paperwork ready? He said, no, I just said I would bring it to the border. Well, that's definitely not what we discussed. That's definitely not what you said. You were going to handle something and expedite this process and bring it across to us, put it in the transport and get it out of here. He said, okay, well, this process is just all too convoluted and too complicated for me. I'm honestly sick of dealing with it, and I am going to drive the car home now. So now I'm out a considerable amount of money on this transporter, and I have roughly another 1,000 miles being accrued on this car from a round trip. And he calls me about 5 hours later and says, I am standing in front of a public storage unit and I am dropping the keys off at the front desk and I am leaving. This car is yours. It's your problem. I have my money. I'm paid. Have a nice day. I'm on the phone with the storage unit and I say, hey, is this storage unit covered? Is it climate controlled? Is it locked? Is it secured? Do you have security cameras? This is a very expensive car. It's a very rare car. We need to make sure it's safe. Does the storage unit have a lip on it? Can we make sure that we don't scrape the car pulling it in, pulling it out? But then the bad news of, well, our storage unit, it is covered. It is climate controlled. It does lock. We can provide the lock, but it's raised a couple feet off the ground because of where we are in the snow and everything like that. So they constructed a set of makeshift ramps out of rocks, bricks, and wooden planks. I can't even call them 2x4s because they're not. And they were able to very carefully get the car into the storage unit. Dukes of hazzard their way out the window. We get the car transported from the storage unit and taken to a Chrysler dealer right across from the port of entry, which that couldn't have worked out any better than it did. And once everything gets finalized, the car came across. We had our transporter go back up, pick the car up, and bring it to us. At this point, the customer has been paying on this car for 6 months. We started this process in April. It's now late October, and he no longer wants the car, and I don't blame him. We reimburse him for the 6 months of payments that he made. We help him find another car. He's a happy customer, understood that the whole situation was out of our control. Now I have a Canadian car in kilometers sitting in my showroom. I can't add extended warranty to it. It's just a very difficult sale for us. And at the time that this car arrived, I was able to secure a pre-owned 2017 limited edition snakeskin green Viper and bring it into our inventory. And the gentleman who came out of that car was in the market for a striker green. He didn't like the way that the snakeskin presented in person versus pictures that he had seen. So I told him, hey, we can make this process a lot simpler than me just purchasing your car. I can sell you this awesome striker green car that I just bought. It is a Canadian car. I can't add warranty to it, but it's in fantastic condition, low miles. It's one of the most pristine, well-kept Vipers I've ever seen, and we were able to make that transaction happen. And I wound up getting a really rare, fantastic car on trade that far exceeded what the striker green car was. And so, crisis averted, we wound up just a great win-win situation.